Good morning. Thank you for those of you who are joining us. We are excited. It's Friday. It's a beautiful morning. We're going to be talking about Go Open. So my name is Pam Batchelor, and I'm from Digital Teaching and Learning on the home base team. I serve as your GoOpenNC product manager, and I'm excited to share some updates with you today, as well as get your input and hear from you about things you would like to see in Go Open as we start planning for the summer and into next fall. So I am going to go ahead and put the slide deck link. And if you wouldn't mind signing in on that link that's in the chat, feel free to pop in any questions or an introduction in the chat. I'd love to hear from everyone who's joining us this morning since we have a small crew. So feel free to pop something in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and go through Webex. So we do have the Webex assistant enabled for this meeting. So we do have captions. You should see them in the lower left corner, and you can click them on or off by using that CC button right there. Feel free. We do have everyone muted when they join, but you can unmute and pop in if you have a question at any point in time. We also have, video, and I see some of you turning the video on. So good morning, Scott. How are you? So it's nice to see faces, and we do have a Padlet that we'll be using for our back channel discussion here, and we are kind of looking forward to summer, kind of like Olaf, right? The only snowman that likes the sun, right? We have a Padlet. Please feel free to add in anything that you'd like to talk about today. Our agenda is flexible because we want this to be meaningful to you, and we want to talk about the things and the questions that you have about GoOpenNC. I would love to just pause here for a second. Anyone who wants to unmute can say hello and good morning and introduce themselves. And then if you also want to share a success on the Padlet or a question you have a minute to do that as well. Anyone want to say hello this morning? You can unmute.
I'll say a quick hello. Good morning, everybody. I do want to say, since Pam said that about Olaf, one of my favorite parts of that Frozen movie is when that song is over and Kristoff says, "Somebody's got to tell him," and about the heat, and Anna's convinced, "No, you can't tell him." I thought that was amusing. It's one of my favorite parts.
All right, I'll refresh the Padlet, see if anyone's put anything up here to start us off. And I'm going to just go ahead and add one over 35,000 users. All right, so I'm going to start us off with our first Padlet for success there, that we are continuing to see growth on Go Open, and I'll show you the exact number in a minute. But we have over 35,000 users, and we're still growing pretty consistently. So that's a success that I want to share. Feel free to add anything, even if it's just a success for you personally. Like maybe you started a group on Go Open for your school district, or you shared a resource, or you're going to talk about it this summer at professional learning that you're doing. We'd love to hear any of those types of successes as well. We are going to start with just a couple of brief home-based updates. Our home-based manager, Dr. Rob Dietrich, is here with us, and so I am going to share our opening slides so that way he can give a few updates. And I'll also put this in the chat that's linked in the slides as well.
Pam, I think you went over the Webex already, did you not? Or did I?
I did.
Okay, I thought so. Why don't you start at slide 3?
Okay.
They've already put the sign-in links and everything in, and Pam's talked about that. This is my favorite meeting for those of you who don't attend these very often, or this could be your 5th one this week. So this is my favorite meeting. I think this is where we get to really hear back from you, and we get to get out in the field, show you what we have. You get an opportunity to tell us what's on your mind, and then we just get an opportunity to go out there and see you guys. And I think it's extremely important for us to do that. Next slide, please. These are the links. Obviously, probably a little less important today because we're on the last one, but that is the links that you could use. Next slide. This is our new update slide for next year. This is a wonderful slide to show you. For one reason, we will be back out to see you in September, November, and May. We are looking for venues and places to go. So we're going to do a virtual session in July and a virtual session in February. July is a very busy time for everybody, so we figured it's best just to do that one virtually. And I've been telling the story all week, so if you've heard it, forgive me, but February's weather was so bad once that they did a home-based meetup from a hotel conference room. So we decided that it is best with all of the unpredictable weather to kind of let us do a virtual one then, but we will be out to see you September, November, and May. Please write those dates down, and we will make sure that we look forward to seeing you in the coming months. Next slide, please. There are all the slide decks for the week. If you have any questions about any other products, just grab the opening slide deck and you can click on each one of those and you'll see all the information that was given, as well as we will be able to give you the recordings a little later today in our weekly update, just to make sure that you are up to speed with everything happening home-based, the digital resources we use across the state of North Carolina. Next slide deck, please. And lastly, there are our call, well, not lastly, there's one more important one right after this. These are our call signs, our logos, our hashtags, whatever you call them for social media. Please grab them. Please like us on Facebook. Please see our stuff, because the most important thing we can do is make sure you have the right information. Next slide, please. And this is lastly, it is very important that you know the folks that are working with you to make your experience in home base positive for you and for your kids. These are the folks making it happen. As you know, Pam Batchelor does Canvas and GoOpen. Justin does the Power School SIS. Cami does the NESIS. Tessa and John does SchoolNet and Power School, and Tessa assists everybody with the professional learning team. Yolanda helps, she's an education program specialist, does a little bit of everything, but mainly communications. Audrey also is an education program specialist who does a great job working with learning.com as well. Russell helps us keep us all straight, if you want the truth, in the SIS world. And then Dr. Fair helps us with Imagine Math. So we are very thankful you could attend. We're very glad you're here. We hope you learn a lot of information, and please reach out to us. In the end, we are here for you, and we want to make sure, again, that you have a wonderful experience. And if you've seen me wiggling a little bit, it's because I'm dealing with this guy today. So I just want to give him a shout out too. Thank you all very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dietrich. Appreciate that, and appreciate the puppy love. There's definitely nothing cuter than a little lab puppy to me. I think they're adorable. So, and he's going to be a big lab puppy before long, I'm sure. All right, so I did just put the slide decks back in the chat. So if you're just joining us, welcome. And please feel free to use those links in the chat to access our slide deck, as well as sign in. Let us know you're here. Feel free to put an introduction in the chat. I am going to go over a few updates, and then we're going to shift the conversation to you guys. So I do have, a few little updates. I would also love to do some introductions. So if you haven't yet, if you could put in the chat where you are from, your name, and your role right now, and maybe one thing you're looking forward to this summer. Let's see what everyone's got plans are. It might be running summer school, but hopefully something more fun than that. And feel free to unmute if you'd rather talk than type. Lisa, I hear you. I'm excited about spending time at home this summer too, and just having those long summer evenings. I think that's my favorite part is about summer is in the evening, enjoying some time with the barbecue. Tamika, you're going to be supporting summer school. Yeah. Yes, Melody, I have 3 books that I got at Christmas that I have not started reading yet. And part of that is because I'm also getting my doctorate right now. So most of my reading in the evenings is for class, but I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some time to work on some personal reading as well. Ooh, Brandy. Boone is beautiful. It's like one of my favorite places in the state. So that should be a great vacation. Ooh, Kimberly, yes, the beach. Ooh, Jeannie, family time for sending the youngest off to college. Oh, yeah, my heart goes out to you. My son is 10, and I know I'm going to blink and I'll be sending him off to college. And I have much trepidation about that. Yes, Leslie, yeah, you're going to be going to the beach too. We all need that time to relax and unwind. So thank you for sharing your plans. So just to let you know, we're still seeing steady increase in GoOpenNC. It seems to increase fairly consistent, about 10% between each one of these quarterly meetings that we have. This was as of Monday. I pulled this number. We had 35,280 users on GoOpen. So we are excited about that growth, and we're hoping that we'll kick off the new year and see more growth during the summer as well with professional learning that's happening. So I did want to share a couple of things about what's new in GoOpen since we last met in February. So who is familiar with the at-home learning lessons from PBS and the Friday Institute and DPI? Has anyone heard of them? Okay, so I'll give you a brief intro. It is a partnership between PBS North Carolina, the Friday Institute, and the and DPI, where we selected teachers to actually go into the Friday Institute with the PBS film group and film lessons. So lessons that could be used at home, lessons that could be video-based lessons that you could use in your classrooms, and they are for pre-K 5 math and literacy. And what's nice about the at-home learning lessons is that they're short videos. Most of the segments are between like 8 minutes to 12 minutes long. So it's not like a super long, video that kids, can't, lose their attention. These are short, focused videos, and they are interactive. Like they'll always have an activity during those 12 minutes where the students are, working with kind of like within the video. And so on GoOpen, we have built a at-home learning hub where as PBS is finishing airing the videos and lessons, they're sending them to us. And so we're adding them to GoOpenNC. So it's kind of a working project. I think we have about 30 right now, but the end result is there's going to be about 150. So as this continues to grow over the next 6 weeks is when they're going to be finished airing the at-home learning lessons. This is going to continue to grow on GoOpen, and all of the recordings, the lesson plans, and there's extension activities. So say the teacher wants to assign a video for the students to watch, then there's also a PDF attached to that video with extension activities that the students could then do after watching the video, or that they could guide the class through a discussion for. So please feel free to share these. We would love, they're going to be available for you They're really nice little segments. They might even be possibly useful for summer school in thinking about, activities that teachers could use with groups of students. So definitely a good resource that we're excited to grow. Another thing I wanted to point out too is our NC Zoo collection continues to keep growing. So it started off with about 75 or so resources, and now it's up to over 140. So they continue to add more of their virtual field trips and activities. They have a great series of backyard adventures. That might be something that could also be something to use in summer school again, and thinking about getting the students outside. What can they find in in their school, as an activity to bring in the outdoors and some physical activity as they're exploring. So I encourage you to go check out the NC Zoo collection and share that. Again, another good resource that's interactive and the kids really enjoy looking at the animals and, hearing from the zookeepers. So nicely done. I also wanted to give you an update on our self-paced courses. So we do have 5 self-paced courses for GoOpenNC. These all take about an hour to go through, and they give educators a 0.01 CEU digital learning credit upon completion. The courses will be available through the end of May, and then they're going to go down for the month of June so I can update them, and then I'm going to republish them all in July. So that way, starting fresh with the new school year and the new renewal cycle. So feel free to get these, and I'll be sure to send out, I think, Cami, you're up here, so I'll ask you, will that registration link change when I republish it in NESIS? I'm assuming so for the next year, or if I just add a new section, will the link stay the same?
If you're adding it to the same course that was created, it should stay the same.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. All right, great. So that's good to know. That was one of my questions to ask. So the course registration links are there, and I will do my best to make sure they don't change as a result of the changes I make. So that way educators can continue to click on those links, and you're welcome to take them as well, too, if you are in need of digital learning competency credit before renewal. I will say that this one with using GoOpen with Canvas and Google Classroom has been very positively received because teachers just weren't aware of how easy it is to share resources from GoOpenNC into Canvas or Google Classroom, depending on what they use for content management. So I will recommend that course in particular as one. In fact, here's a little feedback from it. I'll let you read that just for a second. So in reading this feedback and having been a district level digital learning coach before, I think we all have staff members that, are hesitant to try something new. And so to see that feedback, and there's multiple people that are saying the same kind of feedback, that they didn't realize how easy it was and they were hesitant about trying it, but now they've tried it and everything worked well and they're happy. I'm glad to see that. So please feel free to share. Do you have any feedback or thoughts about the mini courses? I'll go back one. Is there another topic that would be helpful? Because I'm kind of at a standstill point where I'm not really sure what else to design a course about on GoOpen. So didn't know if there's anything you see there that is missing or could be added to. Okay, well, no, I'm always open for suggestions. So if you can think of something that pops in, technical tools in class, is that with GoOpen specifically, or is that something else you're thinking? So if you have any thoughts to expand on that, I will say with the GoOpen with the Canvas and Google Classroom, I do talk about specific curriculum examples and show how to put those into your Google Classroom or Canvas for students to access. So hopefully that's helpful, but let me know if there's something to expand upon that. All right, so one of our main topics for today that I wanted to give an update on was our upcoming standards. So as you know, that GoOpen has all of our current academic standards in it. However, I was made aware of a couple of additional sets of standards that would be useful that we could add to GoOpen. So on this next slide, you'll see that the K-12 computer science standards and the North Carolina pre-K standards. Now, I know with the pre-K, not every, because some pre-K is provided privately by private childcare, and they may use a different set of standards, like I think it's the National Association for Early Childhood has their own set of pre-K standards. But all North Carolina pre-Ks that are at our schools use the same standards. And so those are going to be loaded into GoOpen NC over the summer. So that way preschool educators could come into GoOpen and align resources that are up there to the pre-K standards. I think right now, most of the time they're looking at kindergarten when they're looking for resources. We also do have a preschool grade level that they can select when they search for resources or add resources, but we thought it'd be also good to have the pre-K standards in there as well. And then the other, of course, we have new social studies standards. So we are preparing for the social studies standards and how to work on a process for realigning. We have about 6,000 items in GoOpen that are aligned to our K-12 social studies resources. So we're going to need to be looking at those and looking at the new standards and seeing where they align. I just wanted to note that the computer science and the pre-K standards are not new, so don't think that you've missed something. Just more that we wanted to make sure to be as inclusive as possible, including as many standards in GoOpen that folks could use to align instructional resources to. Is there anything else? Is there any other standards that maybe are out there that would be helpful to have in GoOpen? We also currently have the digital learning competencies for both teachers and administrators on GoOpen, as well as the North Carolina professional teaching standards. So we do have those already, but I didn't know if there was any other sets of like professional standards or anything else out there that maybe would be helpful for folks to be able to align curriculum resources to. So we do have we also have the digital learning standards, which are the ISTE standards for students, because North Carolina adopted the ISTE standards for students. Are you talking about the ISTE standards for educators, or were you talking about for students? Both. Okay. Yeah, I can look at the teacher standards and see about having those added as well. I know between the digital learning competencies, there's some overlap, so I'll have to look and see what they think. And so, Tamika, I know PDPs are in NESIS, which is Cammie's product. So I don't know if, that any standards that we put on Go Open wouldn't necessarily also be the same for NESIS. But are you saying you would like to have the ISTE standards for teachers in NESIS for PDPs? Is that what?
Yes, because like whenever we're working with the coaches and the teachers, when they're looking at the leadership portion of it, I know the technology standards, sometimes it's easier if they can align those as well.
Okay.
This is Cammie. So is this when they're creating PD? Because they can tag ISTE standards on their courses when you're creating PD for your district in NESIS. Hope that helps a little bit. Or just email me and Pam later.
We'll sort it out. Because we know teachers need to be able to like add standards to their PDP process, but we want to make sure we do it in the best way. And so since it's a little bit different because it's a different process, each application within Homebase has its own process for how they do standards, and it's a little bit different. So we'll work on that. All right. So I am at the point where it's exciting. We're planning for next year, right? We're hoping for a little bit more of a return to normal. And so I would really love and value your input on what you feel would be good professional learning options to offer on GoOpenNC. So we're going to take a little bit of time to talk and hopefully get your ideas. So these are some of our established goals for Go Open. Of course, we want to make sure that when we're thinking about open education practice, which is that OEP, because we don't have enough acronyms in education, right? So we have OER, which is Open Education Resources, and then we have OEP for Open Education Practice. We want to make sure we're providing opportunities to add to our collection, right? So, all the professional learning that we offer in Go Open, one of the components of it is doing something on the platform, whether you're remixing a resource, whether you're looking at a resource and analyzing it, whether you're, going in there and uploading your own resources. There's always some element of that to help make sure our collection keeps growing. And it does. We have almost 6,000 teacher-created resources in Go Open. So that number started at 0 when we launched in December of 2019. So we're at about 18 months, and we have almost 6,000 resources that teachers across the state have created. So I take that as a good sign that people are using it and people are adding things to it. We want to encourage collaboration, of course, as much as we can safely. This past year, hopefully that'll be a little bit easier next year. We want to provide opportunities for curriculum improvement, right? For educators to be continuously looking at those instructional resources that they use in their classroom and what the alignment of those resources is, what the quality is, what the accessibility is for those resources. And of course, provide professional learning that encompasses all those things. So here are kind of a little menu of options that I kind of came up with. And I would love kind of your thoughts and feedback. So many of you may have remembered that last year we offered some hub development professional learning on Go Open. And so, the hubs are the interactive spaces on Go Open that contain both resources and groups, right? So not only can I go to a hub such as global education and find resources and instructional lesson plans around global education, but then I can also join a group and interact with other teachers, right, who want to learn more about global ed and talk about global ed. So in thinking about thinking about what hubs we might need that we don't have on Go Open, with those new standards coming in for computer science and also preschool, I thought maybe we could have a series in the fall to kind of develop some more specific resources where teachers could practice aligning those their own lesson plans and things to either those computer science standards or to the new pre-K standards. And then the end result would be a hub that everyone could look at and see, and everyone could start adding resources to. So I thought those were two ideas with the new standards coming in. I also wanted to think about districts. So we have several districts across the state that have said, oh, I would like to have a space on GoOpen. And some of you are on this call have a space on GoOpen. But then we have some other districts who have interest, but they're not quite sure how to get started, right? They're kind of like, oh, this would be really cool if. And so I thought, you know, a hub development with in partnership with ISKME, which is our nonprofit vendor that we use for GoOpen, they could provide some support to districts that are interested in a space, but just not quite sure how to go about it and not quite sure the best practices involved in it. So like kind of like a district hub partnership, you know, where you could say, hey, we'd really like to use this in our district. We want to train some teachers on, you know, open education resources and get them working on adding resources, but we're not quite sure how the other parts work to make it visible and make it look nice on the platform, right? So I thought maybe we could have some partnerships there. And then, of course, more targeted professional learning on elementary resources, middle school resources, high school resources. So in the past, we've had curriculum review academies, and where we send things out to focused grade levels or subject areas and said, hey, come on, GoOpenNC, earn some CEU credit. We'll show you the platform. We'll show you how to use it. We start with teachers looking at resources that are already in the platform and evaluating them using the quality tools rubric. And then we build them up with their knowledge and expertise to the point where they're comfortable adding resources to the platform. So we thought, you know, maybe we could do some of that for elementary, middle school, and high school. Any thoughts so far or questions about kind of the intros to each one of these things? All right, so I'm seeing Melody say that the hub development support is a great idea. Cecilia agrees. Okay. All right, so we are going to use a tool called Menti. And we are going to do one of my favorite things on there, which is where you get $100 to spend, and you get to spend it in these buckets and tell me where you would spend your $100 for professional development in these buckets. So if you wouldn't mind going to Menti, and I'm hoping this code doesn't change. It didn't. Okay. So if you go to menti.com, and the code is 612-7746. You should be able to spend your $100, and you can divide it up any way you choose. So if you think an idea is not worth any money, don't put any money in that bucket. If you think the hub development needs to get everything, then put $100 in that. That's fine. Or if you want to split it up, but take a moment to spend your $100 on professional learning for GoOpen next year. This is fun watching the bars move as you guys submit. All right, we'll give one more minute. I see we have 13 responses so far. So we'll give one more minute to finish. Okay, so now that we see the results here, and so it looks like high school resource development, elementary resource development, and district hub development are kind of our top three in the buckets. Is there any particular subject area with either high school or elementary that you see a need to focus on? Math for both or math for just high school? And maybe I just answered my own question there. Because I know we have a good amount of resources for elementary math from what I've heard on the site, but I know the same is not true for all of our high school. Elementary. Okay. Is there any particular topic or or series there on that you think we need more math resources? Geometry? Okay. And I know geometry is one of those strands that um, you need more resources on. I just know from my own son being in fourth grade and, you know, his experience, you know, the rest of it seems to be fine, but geometry seems to be a little out of the realm of comprehension for, I think, for some students. So need more scaffolding there. And measurement. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add to those specifics? Because that's really helpful, because then I can go out and I can say, we're having a curriculum review academy for elementary math. In particular, we're looking at geometry and measurement, right? Because that helps me design a more effective series if I know exactly where the needs are. And I know we are also working on a home-based survey to send out as well. And so I think that will also help give us some more feedback on things that they would like to see. All right. So I would like to know, just because this year has been a year unlike any other, I am curious to know what you feel like has been the best professional learning experience that you have attended in this past year, right? And so it could be anything. I don't, doesn't have to be something DPI offered or specific, you know, just what worked the best for you. And maybe there's been some new ideas that have come forward this past year for professional learning that we could look at incorporating next year. So is there some new hybrid format or some new thing? What has been impactful for you in the past year when you have attended professional learning? And again, you can unmute or you can share in the chat.
However, it could be a home-based professional development as well, though.
Oh, it could definitely be. We would love it if it was. I'm looking for ideas that we could possibly reuse or improve upon. Because that's the best thing that educators do, is that we borrow ideas from others and improve upon them and make them better.
Amen.
TikTok. You know, I mean, I saw the TikTok pasta, right, with the tomatoes and the cheese. Maybe we need to get a TikTok account, Rob.
There's actually lots of educators I've been following on TikTok, and they have just some great ideas. And it seems like my teachers latch on to that a lot better than sitting down for a 30-minute training session. But in 60 seconds, they get their juices flowing, and they're implementing like right away. So it's been my best friend during the pandemic, professionally and personally. It's gotten me through some tough times.
Right, yeah. I mean, okay. Thank you for sharing that, Brandon. Anyone else? So flank. A dual conference. So is that like hybrid or is it for dual language? Ah. And so they were virtual, right, this year because of the pandemic? Is there some best practice, right? Because I think a lot of our conferences, whether it be Flank or NC Ties, went virtual this year. So was there anyone who did a really outstanding job, or like a tidbit of how they made it work, that you feel like was really helpful to you? Because it is different when it's virtual.
I can't remember the name of the conference, but they set it up very much like y'all do in Canvas, where we had many little videos. We also had instructional material we could immediately take back to the classroom, but we also had, which you could do at your own pace, but they
Mhm.
also each week had Facebook Live where we could meet as a group and discuss what we viewed in the videos and share how it was working in the classroom or how our teachers felt about the ideas.
Mhm.
And I really enjoyed that.
And Mary, how often did they have Facebook Lives? Was it just once, or did they have like a few of them? Like
They had a few of them.
Okay.
That we had, I want to say it was broken down into 4 modules. So we had a Facebook Live with each module, but again, you did not necessarily have to work the modules at that pace,
Right.
but that's how the Facebook Lives were set up. And I really enjoyed that.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea. I hadn't heard that before. So, kind of spacing it out over, a month or so or several weeks, and then having those opportunities to collaborate if you want to, or if you just want to work at your own pace on the courses, you have that right there. And Brandy, I think you said that is that for math?
Yeah,
Okay,
the North
good.
Carolina Council of Teachers of Mathematics, they
Mhm.
they did theirs like this over the pandemic, and the teachers liked it. You lose a little bit of the interactive capabilities, but they found it to be beneficial, and it was easy. They could do it anytime they wanted to, and it was good quality stuff while it was free.
Well, it was free. See, that's the benefit of home base. Everything we do is going to be free, and everything we do is going to be available forever. So, so there's the benefit there. I like that. Thank you for sharing those ideas about the TikTok and the dual language conference. I'm glad it was successful, and I also presented, at a few different conferences. Well, they're virtual this year, and so, seeing all the different formats and different ideas, because it's something we haven't had to really do before, is go virtual on a wide scale. So certainly, if you approach virtual the same way as you would in face to face, I think it's much easier to get the information overload. I mean, I always got information overload whenever I went to a conference in person, usually because it was just so much great information. You want to take it all in, but your brain reaches that point where you can't. And I think there's a different threshold with it when you're virtual, right? And it's all online. So, and you have so many factors competing for your time, too, with the virtual environment. So, thank you for sharing those ideas. Anything else anyone want to share about that before we go on to our next topic? Okay. So at discussion topics here, I am kind of curious. I've asked this before at February and I asked it before then. But I just wanted to know kind of what your updates have been within your district about using GoOpen and or your school, and what do you see trends are? Do you see more teachers are using it, or have we reached kind of a point where there's a lot of saturation right now because it's the end of the school year and it's been a very long year, so people are ready to have a break. But I would love to know, Amy, give you a chance to share a little bit about what's going on in your district and if you've heard any good things or bad things or indifferent things about GoOpen. And Melody, if I could put you on the spot, I don't know if you are in a point where you could unmute, but I know you mentioned, Johnson County has their own hub. What do you think is a good next step for kind of looking at the hub again next year and breathing new life into it?
Yeah, I think you made a good point about breathing new life into it. I think that really is going to be our focus. And as we've considered some of our next steps, I think that's it. We've got a good foundation of some resources in there for teachers, but it is just that. It is a foundation. It's a start. And we feel like we haven't got the word out as much as we can. But as we have all said probably more times than we care to count, with the situation this year, it kind of went to the back burner and focusing on some other things instead. So we have a good bank of resources. Our media coordinators are I would say are familiar with it, and I think our next step is to tap into them as resources to help get it out to teachers with a goal of getting teachers to add into that resource bank. We picked a few to put in there. We actually got teachers to pick some to put in there, but I think the ultimate goal is to get teachers to see the value in it and use that as a place where they can share resources with each other.
Thank you, Melody. And yeah, I think from the chat, yeah, it looks like we have a lot of the same kind of feelings, right? That it's been a difficult year to get teachers' attentions on new things, and hoping to make that a priority over the summer. I did want to share that I do have like a good overview presentation that's about 45 minutes of slides. If that would be helpful, I'll be happy to email that out on Monday when I forward out the recording of this session. And you could take that slide deck and you could chop it up if you wanted to just do like, one slide in a newsletter kind of thing, or if you are going to do any kind of training. So I'll be happy to do that. I'll try to add some speaker notes in there too, so that way you have a little bit of what I usually say when I'm at that point. But it's just a good basic overview slide deck. So, okay, well, I'll send that out on Monday with the recording and the notes from this. And maybe we need to look into getting a TikTok account. I can't do any funny dances though. Is dancing required on the TikTok? All right. Yeah, Brandy, I might have to like look at your account and see who you follow and kind of get going that way. All right. Does anyone have anything? I do want to know, is there anything good or bad that you've heard about GoOpen? Because I can't address anything unless I know about it. So if there's anything specifically, feel free to put that in the chat, unmute, email me, and because I can't address it if I don't know about it. So.
Hey Pam, this is Stacy, and I am working with the district over here in the Northwest, and they are doing a lot with personalized learning, and we're not quite to the upload it to GoOpen yet, but their teachers are creating playlists and pathways that are standards based for their, and so the ultimate goal is to get them to a point where they can put them into GoOpen. So our next little session is towards the end of the year. It's been a crazy year, so we've tried to take it slow and not make it feel too overwhelming. As much as possible, but hopefully towards the end of the year we'll all get back together and we'll have some things to put in GoOpen.
Okay, that sounds great. And then also, Stacey, I'm not sure if you were on earlier when I was talking about hub development. And so one thing I would like to look into is, if we have some districts that are interested in creating a space on Go Open, but they're just kind of not sure about what to do, the next steps, and to facilitate some of the technical part, if maybe they would be interested in going and doing like a little professional development where ISME would help them with developing their own hub. So that might be something that we can chat about too later on. See if if the district you're working for or working with would be interested.
That would be great. I would love that.
Okay. Awesome. So I will go ahead and share too a couple of things on the platform that are coming that we're really excited about. We just learned about these. Is that right now, currently, when you align a resource to a standard, you have to go through this series of drop-down menus where you check your standard, and then you select your grade level, and then you drop down to the specific objective, and then you can only do it for one objective at a time. And so they're going to be changing that on our platform to where it's going to be a drop-down menu with check boxes. So that way, like if you wanted to say, this is, NBCT 7 and 5, you would be able to check 5 and 7 at the same time and add both of those alignments to the resource right there in one step. And I think that's going to be a nice thing that's supposed to be over the summer. So yes, we know that standards alignment right now, if you're looking at aligning a resource on the platform, is kind of clunky. So we're excited about that checkbox system, so that way you can check multiples within the same strand. I don't think it'll be where you'll be able to do like both measurement and base 10, right? Operations, numbers of operations, base 10. I don't think you'll be able to do like both of those, but I think you'd be able to do multiple ones within the same strand. So I'll be sure to send some screenshots once we have that on our test instance. So we do have like a test site where they make all of our changes first. So once I have screenshots to share, that I'll be sure to send it out to the group. Other updates that we're working on with ISME as well is the ability to put your district information in kind of like a system on the back end. So that way, like I could see that, Melody is from Johnston County Schools, or, whatever your district or charter school affiliation is. And that way we can organize users. Right. So that way, if Melody wanted to see, okay, where are all the Johnston County teachers on Go Open, we could actually organize the users by their PSU. So that's going to be helpful. I don't have a timeline for that. Hopefully it's going to be still over the summer, but it might be a little later, just depending on, because once they make the updates to make it possible, then we're going to have to figure out a way of adding everyone's school, district, or charter school membership to their account, because that wasn't something that comes across when you get your account created. When you create your account, it's just your name and your email address. Thankfully, everyone has a naming convention for their emails. So I was thinking that I could take a spreadsheet of everyone's email strand and say, okay, everyone with this email ending is from this PSU. But I'm sure there'll be something that happens with that. No idea goes exactly as you planned. So those are a couple of content developments to look for over the summer. I do want to point out there that we do have some badges, some digital badges that are available for Go Open. So that might be something when you're thinking about, how to reintroduce this to your staff or instructional coaches, to say, hey, I'm going to share 10 minutes about Go Open, and then you can go look and do more to get a badge, right? And so there are these 3 badges. They're pretty simple tasks to do, but they're still out there and available. So it might be something as an easy way for some more additional engagement, and people earn the badge and they can put the badge in their email signature, or, they can print it out. So it might be a fun way to get it interactive. I do want to check our Padlet just to see if anybody has added anything. So we do have a sharing GoOpenNC for back to school PD in August. Awesome. Are there any other kind of questions or ideas that you would like to share? Because we do have a few minutes. And I want to make sure you have time to share or ask any questions of each other. Okay, I am not one to hold anybody. I know you are super busy and have lots of great things to do on this Friday. So I'm going to copy the evaluation link right here. This is what you complete to get your CEU certificate. And please let me know in the evaluation if you have any notes. And I will be on Monday. I will send out the link to the recording, the slide deck, and the link to that basic slide deck presentation I have for like an intro training on GoOpen. If anyone wants to stay and have a question or anything they want to chat with, I've stopped recording and I'll hang out for a couple minutes, but otherwise, hope you all have a great afternoon.